Hi, everyone, and welcome to the K8s-Infra meeting. We are September the 24th. As a reminder, this meeting is under the code of conduct, so please behave well. Before we start, do we have like someone new in the call for introduction? I see the same face. Oh, okay. Yeah. So please put yourself in the list of attendee if it's not done. And let's start with billing review. So that's going to be part of 3H. We started to use Datadog to gather cloud cost information, and basically, hopefully, we might need to integrate other cloud provider. I think currently we cover only 2 cloud provider, and there's like two or three things I would like to report about this dashboard. I'm not exactly sure. When I try, I didn't see. Okay.
Do me a favor, in the top corner there, you know where it says the time selector, set it to the past month.
Okay, wait, then before we start, this is like, okay, we have this number for the past day, and for the past month, we have the same number. So I'm like kind of confused
No.
about,
So this is year to date. So the first two tables are year to date.
okay,
With
year to date. So,
everything else is uses the selectors.
okay,
There you go.
cool. Here, what's happening here?
That is using a new feature that they have not made public yet, and it's a really cool one. It shows you percentage diff. So it will look at the last 30 days and compare it to the previous 30 days. I'm going to talk to them about making that a feature that appears by default in the public dashboards.
Okay,
But when you look at it logged in, it's actually quite helpful. It shows you
okay,
the percentage increase.
okay. I see we see the spend for GCP, we see the spend for AWS, but we cannot filter or group by, right?
Not in the public dashboards. So if you
Okay,
look at this dashboard while you logged in, you have the filtering capabilities. Which is
okay.
a weird thing. I need to ask them about it. See, the top there, the filter by is grayed out.
Because on local studio, I know we were able to filter per service. So I don't know if it's possible here.
You can do it, but you have to log in. So if you go
No,
to
more like in the sense that if anyone publicly could basically filter per service for a specific project, those kind of things, is it possible to do that without?
not yet.
Okay,
I'm working on that.
okay,
To have a
cool,
chat with them.
cool.
There were already
Okay,
some interesting insights that I saw that I wanted to talk about. Um,
like,
okay, let's see. Can I share my screen briefly? It's probably easier that way.
wait, no, stop sharing my screen.
Okay, let me get a dashboard up here. Just give me a second. Nice. Send a share request. Okay. So the panel that was not public is this panel here. Is the one that's cost change. Current 30 days versus the previous 30 days. And if I activate the filters here, I can put in project names and like AWS account names in here. So for example, if I'm interested in what's happening in this Google Cloud project, for example, um, like here, this is where I would the daily spend on this particular project, uh, and by what services. The insight that I found that was interesting was this. If I look at here, This table here where it says cloud storage plus artifact registry spend by SKU, if you notice, we have spend from projects we weren't expecting spend from. So this big blue one here is artifacts, Kate's artifacts prod. That's good. That's where we host our images, artifact registry images plus cloud storage blobs. That's still quite high in this section here. But if you look here, the COPS project, for example, it's serving a lot of assets directly from there. I don't quite like that. That really should be served behind a CDN. And there is this other project here, Kate's Release. Not sure what that project is and what assets it's serving, but it is serving a fair bit of traffic out to the internet.
Git release are basically all the nightly build from CI. Basically, the entire CI consume that bucket. And it's public.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
And because I think the bucket is multi-region, that's why we have spent. If it was regional in US Central,
No,
I don't
actually,
think
the storage isn't bad, actually. So if I expand it here, the bulk of the cost is data transfer.
yeah,
Storage
they'll
is
transfer
right.
because we have all the project from AWS consuming that bucket and all the project in multi-region GCP consuming that project.
Oh, okay.
And because KOps, I think the culprit could be the KOps test because they basically run on random region.
Yes. So what I meant was, so when people download CI like this, for example,
Mhm.
like this, okay, doesn't that get pushed through the CDN or not? Or is it just like straight pass through?
Now, for the CI, it's not going to CDM because we have if I remember, we have an expiration,
Yeah.
an expiration policy on the asset, those there's no need for to go through the CDM. And caching that is kind of tricky because
We don't want to cache
because
the markers. We do want to cache the blobs though, because we don't
but
rewrite the blobs.
The
the problem
yeah, the
is like
problem is that we don't it doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense to cache the blobs because they're like we're uploading new ones continuously. Uh if they weren't continuously updated, then they would be the release tags, which are cached.
No, no,
So
no. What I'm saying is, if you're using something from here, you download a marker. The marker tells you what the latest build is, and that's
yeah,
always referenced by a hash, and it's
yeah.
always unique. So that asset should be cached. I'm not saying cache the markers. I'm saying cache the tags that
Oh
are
yeah.
referenced.
But if we like I assume Fastly has some limits on, how much they're going to store in the cache, and the churn rate on that is pretty high. We ran into this with Bazel, for example.
Okay.
Like every every time we build is going to be unique, and at least on master, I mean we're typically building. You can see new commits as much as like hourly during the
Easily
day.
70 commits a day. Yeah,
I,
something
it,
like
it
that.
could I don't know, it definitely it depends on the parameters of the cache. It could be useful. It's probably not massively useful, and we don't expect a lot of external traffic anyhow. I think the biggest thing is that we would gain like the test on AWS, since we are uploading to GC or GCS currently.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
think we should look at it, but it's probably the wins are probably smaller, and it was definitely just easier to be like, don't just don't cache this.
Okay. I
Make
mean, we
sure that
have
we're getting
plenty of
the
money to go around, so it's not really an urgent thing, but it will become something that we have to look at if we ever need to go penny pinching at some
yeah.
point.
I think the one thing just to verify that basically it's CI, we should like tag the add labels or tag to those bucket and basically be able to break down cost per bucket because currently we only know the cost for this specific project. We don't know exactly which resource, GCP resource costs that much. And I checked the policy is 7 days. So I felt like maybe we could just basically put a tag, a label, and in 2 weeks see which bucket costs the most and we can figure out what's next to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
I
I think
believe the
we know
buckets
about
in this
this for like
project
a
are
while.
labeled. The buckets in Kate's artifacts prod should be labeled, so we should know what's what. So and that's that. Other than that, compute engine looks reasonably well. Um, this is one weird thing. I don't know why we're spending $2,000 on SSDs in Kubernetes public, but yeah.
Because we have
Is that just
huge.
CS.K8s.io?
No, it's the Kubernetes dash public. You know, we run the AA cluster.
Yeah,
That-
CS.K8s.io runs there, right?
And also the perf test, which is kind of like has a lot of like
Yeah, those two
perf
are both
tests.
very IO heavy.
Yeah, they're
We should
IO,
Oh,
check
so
if
that's
so
we're
why.
doing this for other workloads, but I remember that we added like more expensive instance types to move because CS.K8s.io was running on like Equinix bare metal, fairly
Yeah,
high
and
performance.
when we did the move, I think it was
so
Dimsy,
whatever we're doing, we're paying more for storage than compute. So
which is not problematic because it's a workload requirement.
okay, that's fine.
I think the one thing we
We
could maybe it was now it's a matter basically of like context and history because we did that setup before hyperdisk. So maybe we should like try to move to hyperdisk to see what's happening if like there's a regression in terms of performance and see what's happening.
Yeah, we could do that.
So this dashboard's really cool, and I think we should review it more. But my understanding from the update from Mario is that it's actually the vendors that aren't in this dashboard yet where we have an immediate overspend, and we're like quite under budget on these. We're at a pretty nice, roughly like 2/3 target.
So which ones are those?
DigitalOcean, there's some the part of the problem with DigitalOcean is we don't even know who knows what's going on with that one. It wasn't something actually set up under K8s-Infra. It's an account from the CNCF, and there's some cluster lifecycle testing stuff going there. And some of it looks like it's maybe leaking resources or something like that. And so that one doesn't have a large budget, and the spend is in excess. IBM and Azure are also both um I think they're not going to run out this year of my quick skim, but like the burn rate is too high. So like Azure, the if you take the this month's average and you just naively extrapolate that, you're going to get over budget.
So the good
And
news
just to
is
end a year is going to be close.
with regards to DigitalOcean, if you know Suriram Venkatesh works there, he pinged me about this earlier this month. So I'm gonna have a chat with him and get to the bottom of what's happening at DigitalOcean.
Yeah, I think there's like one or two places in the project that test CI, and I think we need to get in touch with those maintainers again to say, hey, we really need you to take a look at what you're running because otherwise we're just gonna have to shut it down because everything's gonna shut down if no one can use it if they're all doing it. We could turn them back on one by one and figure out which one's doing it or something like that if we can't get a response. But at some point, if we just let it burn through the budget, then it already de facto shuts down everyone's usage anyhow. And I think that
Oh,
one's
I
shared with
know.
CNCF. For IBM, that's pretty new. Hopefully, we can reach out to the IBM folks. Same thing for Azure. Like we should have some points of contact on that.
Yeah, I would love to get Azure integrated with DO, but as with Datadog, but I need to have some conversations with some people. With regards to IBM, IBM is fresh and it unlocked some very interesting use cases for us. Not just for Kubernetes, but also etcd. So we need to have proper conversations with the IBM team, figure out exactly what's the budget, how much we're spending, and are they being allocated correctly?
Yeah, Mario says there was a spike in usage for Azure as well, like that it's changed quite a bit. So, and here there's a graph in the Slack chat that has the monthly spend for the year, just like total spend per platform. And you can see that I mean you can see a very obvious like August just the slope changes dramatically July, August for Azure. Whereas you can see like GCP and Amazon are fairly stable.
Oh yeah, I see that. Okay, I missed that message. I didn't see it. All right,
Yeah, I
interesting.
don't know. Maybe someone can share that one. But if not, folks, if you look in the SIG K8s-Infra channel, there's a graph in there from Mario at Kubernetes, who's like their contract with the CNCF to help with this stuff.
Okay, I think we're done about billing. Quick
Yeah, I am. Stop
question.
staring.
Yeah, I noticed something on AWS that was not catching at Datadog. To share my screen. Wait, before we move on, where's that? I need to file a ticket for this, but just basically for the sake of recording. We can only see this. Where is trash type exclude? It's nothing really serious, but it's like, okay. So there's a cost increase on CloudWatch. And yes, okay. Yeah, to date. So basically for the entire organization, we went from like 600 in January to like 3,000 in the last 3 months. I will file a ticket because I don't know what happened. I'm like, it's happening on like all the accounts. So I'm assuming it's not some CI job that basically did that, because this is affecting the account where we basically serve our public workload. So I assume either it's a SKU change or something went wrong. I will file a ticket for this, but I don't know what happened. Our budget should cover that, but we should
Is it
try to
maybe
investigate.
something like the scale testing?
No, because we like the thing is like the scale test. I look at the scale test, I didn't see any change. And this is more like a grow. Let me present that this way. Oh, Iftak may have the answer because he's an AWS expert. So like all the account where we have like is basically we get that cost. We like see the three last month. All the account we have.
Okay.
So go Iftak go. Tell me you have an answer.
So one thing that might happen is maybe the configuration it has on the AWS API level that's been auto-enabled. So we would have to look at how we control these CloudWatch resources.
Mm,
Either a AWS API, the Terraform provider that we use to configure said resources has been auto-enabled, real time, detailed monitoring, so forth and so on. So it could have been that, or it could also be increased usage. So uh,
So
diving down and running that root cause is something that I'm happy to help with.
yeah, I wish it was the case about some provider, but basically we have account like basically no one touched for like 6 months. And I check and I'm like, okay, basically the cost changed like over the last 3 months, and no one. I even like check CloudTrail to basically see, oh, maybe something did something, but I don't see anything. That's what I'm
Did
saying. I'm gonna, yeah.
did this happen? So are all these configured via AWS config centrally?
No, because we separate the configuration of those tests per account.
But are you familiar with AWS config service?
No, we don't
So
have that globally.
so if you say that all those services or counts under the same organization, all of them
Yeah,
had similar increase, whether they
yeah.
are active or not, that
Mm.
seems suspect. It seems like something that could have been implemented on a root level account to configure across the board from a compliance standpoint that had resounding effects. I had that occur a couple of iterations ago, where policies that are implemented from a root level using the AWS config are there to centrally manage configurations across the board. So using config, you can see when was the last run, and you
Yeah.
could maybe find out that in terms of some visibility on the drop down on the left. You need to go to the root account though. So it's only
I'm in
within
the yeah, I'm in the root account.
the Kubernetes public.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. That
So
is
yeah.
peculiar.
Yeah, it's really peculiar. So I'm like, if you want to basically investigate how to set up other AWS config for the future, I think I have an issue around to basically talk about this, and we can figure out later how to make it happen.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to help. Happy to help.
Okay. Okay.
It's interesting. It's a puzzling. It's an interesting puzzle to see why that cost occurred across multiple accounts. I'm happy to help in finding that out.
Okay. So that's it for me. Any question?
This is Jonathan from IBM.
Yeah.
I don't have any visibility onto the billing side, but I'll try to find the contact for that and let them know about the billing situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think for us, our default point of contact is CNCF, but basically CNCF may not have like the right answer to identify exactly who's in charge of this credit. So I think that would be really helpful to basically have someone. We should even document that for the new signature, like have a private document where we basically put all the contact for all the cloud providers, so we don't have to I don't have to be paying about this. So with a ban. So yeah, then before you retire, you have like the last one mission. That last one mission.
Well, one of the reasons that we make sure that there's an agreement with the CNCF is so that we do have that there is a fixed point of contact, because the problem with the problem with documenting people is that the people are always changing, and that on the vendor side, they may not realize, oh, well, we reorged and someone else is responsible for this now. They need to go PR some open source thing to document that they're going to handle the credits. Like, this very detached. Like in our case, the credits are hopefully now being handled by OSPO, our open source program office, which should make it more sustainable, that like we have a central place that really knows what they're doing with that will keep after it annually, instead of like Tim Hawken personally making sure they get renewed. But it also means that I don't know if it will be the same person year to year, and that it's also further removed from like me and my org. We're not directly involved with that anymore.
Yeah, I think even that would be a first a good.
But the CNCF
step.
will know who that is. I think what I was looking for point of contact is we have so many things going on with some of these new vendors where like I don't really know everything we're running on IBM. And if we have a spend issue, the other side of that is looking at what did we change that we're running, and you know, triaging what of that makes sense. And I know a few people from IBM had been helping spin that up. So getting in touch with those people would probably be a good idea. Yeah. And same thing with
I
Azure,
think
right? Like we had a few people that were working on spinning up the infrastructure for the tests they wanted to run, like testing Kubernetes Azure integrations. So like there's a good incentive alignment to take a look at, hey, you're actually over budget, versus like the GCP and Amazon stuff that's being used really widely across the project. I don't think we can really lean on like any particular group for that, and that's really here.
Okay. I feel like just be able to say in the document, reach out to OSP or other cloud provider is a good start. Like before we even say, okay, which person, like just one email that help us reach out to OSPO. That would be a good start for basically for the future. So basically we basically know who to tag if there's an issue. Like we have an issue with Fastly billing currently, but I don't know if like other people like than me know how to reach out, like who is at Fastly in charge of those of the Fastly donation or even Donation Foundation. So we should document that. Just like one table, put emails, and we see what's happening, how we can iterate on it, and basically provide better way to reach out those different people. I will take up that. So I'm suggesting, but I will take up that. Okay. Any question or any update, any information we need to know about billing. Great. Nice. So let's do, yeah, okay. For the sake of recording, we have an update. We will welcome to new signature by end of the week. James and Ben are retiring officially. So thank you to them for all the time spent with us, all the sweat and all the effort done over the last few years. I'm grateful for being able to know them as teacher and technical leads. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Saul. I'll definitely still be available in the project for some level of pings and stuff, and I believe DIMS will be as well. But I'm gonna be more focused on some other areas. There'll still be some overlap with like SIG testing in particular, though. There, I'm also planning to focus more on how and what we're testing versus the infrastructure, and hope to recruit some other folks to help out with that. And I'm really thankful to all the new leads that we've had over the years and the new folks that are stepping up as soon as we get through this consensus period. Thanks.
Any question before we go to 3H? Okay, let me first go over check. I think we're done with this, but it's still open. Or
I think we didn't turn it on for everything yet. I
we
think we
should,
have some exemptions still.
yeah, but I don't. Let me go start to roll out. Yeah, we did a rollout on March.
Are we talking about the COPS migration?
The
No,
retention for the staging images.
the staging
Oh,
images,
okay.
because
So
we have a troll. So
I
yeah,
have an answer on that one. So retention has been active in the shared K8s staging images project.
mhm.
It's also been active in the projects that are still doing GCR.io/project ID thing that we migrate as part of the artifact registry for the high spenders. There is a long tail of projects who are not publishing images anymore, and their projects should actually be deleted. There are a subset of projects that publish images, but the traffic has been very low, or the usage has been very low to do that. For those projects, we're going to migrate them to the shared artifact registry project to host staging images in. We did some changes in how our image builder works to avoid running out of quotas there, but other than that, we should be fine. So it's still working.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna basically put that next milestone. And can you basically make a comment on basically what's remaining to be done?
Okay.
So we have some kind
will.
of visibility. Right.
For context, the big offender was the K8 staging CI images. He holds the CI images, basically the K8's release dev equivalent of images. That thing was ridiculous. So that has a 7-day retention policy. Images get purged very quickly, and it's at a manageable level.
Okay, let's go. We track this. Okay.
Thanks,
So,
Mohammed. Also, thanks for fixing the bug with the quota fetching the builds. That has been an intermittent problem across all sub projects for years.
Specifically important, and now that we're doing this shared cloud build project, right? It's really important that that thing was fixed.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it
still
hasn't happened there, because it doesn't happen there because all the projects don't build at the same time, and most of them don't do log streaming.
Yeah. I would still recommend splitting up the cloud build into projects fairly often just for like security purposes.
Kubernetes will have its own
reasons, though.
project. We're not merging that one. And Kubernetes has its own project. So that's going to stay, but everybody else is going to share one. and that should be fine.
I'll follow up with you sometime as a user. I think there are still some sub projects that like have particularly, I mean, we have a lot of projects that run as like privileged containers and repos, and they have varying levels of how like actively maintained they are and how closely everyone's kind of watching that. You wouldn't want one because projects tend to just look at which tags are pushed and then promote those without actually tracking it back to a build. There's a risk that like if you gain maintainer in project A, you can like push over images for project B that is a like more sensitive like run as a privileged process kind of thing. And having them in separate projects limits the impact of like compromising any particular repo build logic since they can.
I think there's another way to approach that problem.
Okay.
Google says there are some attestations that they publish with images that are basically built using Cloud Build. I would leverage that feature.
Yeah, I do think that a better long-term thing would be just requiring that everyone do images push to Cloud Build and then figuring out how to lock down the Cloud Build so that you can only push to like the prefix for your project. But I think that it might be a while before we get there. So just sticking them in separate GCP projects is a really simple way to say like you can't you can't push a staging image for like cube network policies just because you have permission to push to, insert like brand new sub project here.
Okay, I'll give it some thought. We haven't widely, well, we're forcing the new projects to adopt this approach. We have a long tail of projects still doing the old thing.
Okay, let's continue. Ben, I think I'm gonna close this because I feel like this is a Google problem.
Send me
Because
a ping can you comment on that so it shows up in my notifications, or send me a link or something, and we'll just follow up and close that out.
yeah.
Well,
You can
so
also close the 7113.
Can we do triage one issue at a time
Sorry,
before
sorry.
we like okay.
I don't
Like
I don't mind the angle of like, oh, it's a Google issue, close out, but to my mind, the reason that I was tracking these publicly is because when we do turn it down, that it's possible some random open source thing will break. And I want to
and
make sure there's visibility.
that's not a projection system. That should be fine. If someone complain about basically has a dependency on this, it should be fine. We break them for like a week.
Sure.
Because
I like to keep the public visibility of when we're doing things like that.
okay,
So we can coordinate. And just on the off chance that we missed something or whatever.
just because I feel like the community doesn't have control on this repository, so we don't basically know what to do as a community on this. It should be our responsibility to decide whether or not.
I don't think we dropped permissions to this one yet. So a few places, one or two very sensitive places we did, like the old primary release location for Kubernetes that was running Google. That one I dropped everyone's permissions to like modify because it's super sensitive. But a lot of these other ones, I don't know if I actually tracked like, dropping all the permissions from what was happening before versus just trying to make sure that we're confident we're not actively using anymore and then spinning down the whole thing. So it's possible that like, open source actually like our public infra does still have access to some of this. So
I get that, and my recommendation will be to do burnout on this. So we identify who's using this and tell them that they should not use this.
okay, we can do that. But this sort of thing is why I think we should continue to track
Okay.
until it's actually off. So that if you're like, let's do a brownout this way, then we can discuss that on the issue and I'll post updates. I'm gonna look at that one now.
Okay. This one is like, so the conversation here was about to basically reduce or instant time on AWS, and Marco and Corey was supposed to take care of this, but Marco is not here, so I'm gonna just type next time and ping on
Okay, that's a fun issue that we should figure out what to do with.
Not necessarily, it's just basically change your instance type. It's like we use Carpenter, so we should just change your instance type and see what's happening.
No, the implementation is easy. We're just gonna figure out which new one. And I believe we said the requirement was 8 cores, at least 30 gigs of RAM, and local SSDs, latest gen of whatever Amazon has to offer.
We don't necessarily use the latest generation. We just need to use one that fit our needs. There's like, and they are very not too old. The thing is, like currently AWS, the latest generation of EC2 instances are basically ARM based.
But they
Most
have
of
latest
them,
Intel versions too, right? Sapphire
yeah, but they
Rapids,
have,
stuff like that.
yeah, they're kind of a little expensive. So yeah, I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we should revisit.
It's worth the trade-off, honestly. We did it in GCP and it's really good. Like we're getting some really, really, really good numbers out of them.
Agreed.
Okay, so
I've done that. I've done that recently on my environment, and the perk of it, the machines run faster, the jobs finish faster, and less concern from an ownership standpoint, because the resources available, they have the resource that they need when they need it, and there's no follow-up for us. Less issues to go over, unless you like
okay,
to go over issues.
no, okay. I'm gonna put if that I tag you on this. Feel free to put suggestion and we can talk to. I'm gonna push for introducing a new node group and see what's happening.
You mean no
I said,
pool?
yeah, a node pool. Sorry, I'm GCP. I'm a GCP fan.
No worries. I'll coordinate with Marco, and we'll go from there.
Okay. This one is still in progress. We have ongoing effort and conversation with CNCF about it. So the TLDI is more like we have a dependency on the CNCF AWS account that prevent us to move forward on this because we use a bucket owned by CNCF, which is hardcore. So in order to do that rotation, we need to break KOps CI. I'm gonna talk to the KOps maintainer to see how we can like try to basically do the migration during October. And that should be the one step that would block us to migrate away from CNCF account. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm personally tracking this. Oh, so Ben,
Yeah.
what's happening here?
I think this
Uh-huh.
was gonna be an onboarding project for Marco and never happened. I think we should just delete this, right? Like
Yes,
I
but
think it's in its own GCP project or something. Just delete it.
okay, but it's not the problem is not deleted. It's like it needs to be done. That's my problem here. Do I froze the thing? Do we want to follow up?
I don't know. I mean, I'm stepping back, but I do still think that the correct thing to do with this is to just turn it down. We're not using it anymore. We have the Datadog one. This is from an era where we only had resources from GCP, so it didn't really make sense to invest a lot of effort into building something cross clouds. This is a very GCP centric thing, and honestly, I don't even think it makes sense on GCP anymore because we can just we just started granting people access to view the billing account and use the built-in tooling that's perfectly capable.
I'm in favor of closing out that ticket entirely. It's been
I
replaced
just
with Datadog. Datadog has all the data we want on there. It's public dashboards for contributors that are going to work with us. We can give them read-only access to the Datadog account to look at things. It's been quite useful lately. And that's
yeah,
it.
that ticket though is just about shutting down the unused infra for it. Like there's a big query, like we're dumping data into BigQuery or something, and then we run a data studio dashboard for it. Like we should turn those down.
Okay, Mohammed, do you want to take care of that
I'll
shutdown?
update. Yeah, I'll update this ticket and the other ticket. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree that we should just get rid we should just get rid of it and use it. I think that the Datadog tool will give us a good like single pane.
Okay, good. So we're still making progress on this.
Yeah, just link it. That's it. Perfect.
Okay. Mhm. Okay. So yeah, this one was like an experiment I need to shut down. To yeah, I need to check out that. I need to take care of this. My okay, assignment. So two remains, Ben.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, so I also think that we should do those. They're maybe not the highest priority, but something that we should look at. One is Artifact Registry has a built-in feature for immutable tags. I think that would be one way to help catch issues. We just had one the other day where the image sync to prod was broken because someone tried to mutate a tag. There's another open issue about we should have pre-submit fail if you mutate a tag in the config. But if we did this, not only will we get the security feature, but also I don't think anybody would try to mutate a tag in pre-submit because they can't mutate the tag in the staging registry. So that's another way to solve that. And then the second one is we used to have like a more isolated copy of the images for like disaster recovery. Right now, we kind of have all of our eggs in one basket. If you gain access to like the project that serves prod and like wipe everything, then we just lose those images and they can't necessarily be built again. Like a lot of projects don't have reproducible builds and things. So, uh, I think ideally we would have an unprivileged read from public images and archive, so it just serves as being trusted that has separate permissions and things. We used to sort of have something like that, and my understanding is in the migration out of the like google.com projects, we don't have anything like that currently. So that given the like decade plus of images that cannot easily be replaced, I do think it would be a good project still to come up with a like trusted
Sorry. Are
isolated
we talking
backup.
about a scenario where we have a diff we where we have another artifact registry with immutable tags already turned on and copies the images from the registry after a delay, like for example, after copies every 2 days, for example. So if something
Yeah,
bad did happen, we would have some way to carry out manual rollback execute operation.
yeah, like something that does maybe like version snapshots on a rolling basis or something like that. So we could have like last week's images, something like that. I think for it to work effectively, you would need it to do periodically and then just like garbage collect out the old ones or immutable tags because we're not supposed to have mutated tags anyhow. So you could just continuously sync it and then because I think the risk is something like, you know, the project gets deleted or the the artifact registry instance gets deleted on the production one, and like that's the only place we have a copy of a lot of these images now.
No, we have multiple copies. So the project has what, 16, 17 clones of the same registry in a different
Sure,
region.
but they're just that's just geo copies, right? They all have the same access control and they're all in the same place. So even without it being malicious, if you just have some automation bug that like tries to recreate those registries or something, then
Okay.
you could wind up wiping all the images that we've carried forward from the beginning of the project. Um, I think it makes sense to have something do a read-only unpermissioned copy that just reads from the public endpoint and archives
Yeah, we
them.
can. Okay. I'll look into it and see how to move that forward.
I don't think this is a rush. It's just one of those things that it feels kind of bad that we haven't figured that out yet because we are running so much custom stuff ourselves. And I think, like, for example, GitHub, we have contact with them in Contrabex, and we know that like they kind of internally have some backup capabilities. So if someone like wiped the Kubernetes repo, then we can reach out to their support and like roll that back, so that we don't, have that catastrophe. But for all the images we're hosting ourselves, we just have no way to do that right now, and I don't. And the product kind of lets you handle that as a user, so we should probably, given the decade plus images, we should probably dump a copy somewhere, unprivileged, read only, trusted, but separate.
We should dump that on Oracle.
Yeah, like another like another cloud, another account, no permissions.
Yeah.
Don't let humans mutate it. Just don't even make it publicly readable. Just like dump to disk or something so that we know that there's a place we can restore from if we have to. We were doing that for the binaries as well at one point. We basically just had something like sync the GCS bucket to another one that wasn't public read. I think we can do better than that now. Um, I don't know if I filed one for the binaries, but I think probably the same idea makes sense for like the binaries and the like the deb and rpm packages, particularly the binaries and the images though, because we can't generate them again. The packages in theory are just generated from the binaries, so I think it might be viable to generate them again. But the images and the binaries, if they get wiped, it's not going to be realistic to like publish those again, and it'll be a huge mess. Like our base images and things, like the whole project will be have a meltdown if something happens to that one prod copy right now.
Yeah, let's try to put that on Oracle.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
previously I think we had talked about like when we had Equinix, it was like just like have something dumped to disk there. I think spiritually that doing that on Oracle makes sense.
yeah. Given the recent news, I think Oracle should be a good fit. They have a sustainably good plan for the next 10 years. So yeah, we should put that on Oracle. Okay, that's good. Oh wait, let's refresh. Oh, we're good. So before we finish, we have an ongoing issue with TL.K8s.io. So there is an increase of the data egress between the CDN provider and the bucket where we store the binaries. And we Fastly doesn't know how it happened. So I have an ongoing ticket with them to see what's happening. So for context, basically, Fastly doesn't log activity for the service for PII reason. So basically they asked their customer to do that, and we didn't do that for Fastly services. So now I'm gonna configure Datadog as a logging streaming endpoint. So basically we see what's happening. What's my follow-up on this? Yeah, we should put that out. Okay, so yeah, it's an ongoing issue. I think I put the wait. Yeah, I put the link with for the slide conversation I started with Fastly. So there's gonna be I'm tracking this. The impact on this is mostly cost because we're now paying for that data increase. It's not too much, but yeah, I would like to not pay. Any question before we finish? Because we're at 2 minutes. We're 2 minutes left. Okay, good. So I will give you back your, I think, 1 minute. Good. Going once, going twice, and see you in 2 weeks, hopefully. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.